What is going on, everybody? It's Tuesday.
Yeah, weird.
That's new.
That's weird.
I know. I think we briefly mentioned it that we're gonna do some changes. So we are going back to 2 episodes a week, but when it is not a patch week, episodes will be coming out on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. But the Friday is always gonna stay the same.
And if there's ever any emergency stuff that happens over the weekend or whatever, expect an episode to come out because sometimes there's just stuff that just needs to be talked about, and you just can't wait sometimes.
We reserve the right to possibly do a 3rd episode a week.
That's right.
Could pop up. But yeah, anyways, we got some interesting changes going on here. On top of that, we also got some LCS stuff to talk about because it was fucking great. But yeah, before that, let's go back to episode 87, which was the patch 12.16 rundown. And our question was, what do you think the pro meta for Worlds is going to be? And Matt, aka Calientes, wrote in and said, Riot loves Renekton and Kai'Sa, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them getting buffed for Worlds. Also expecting them to keep taking the durability changes away and be back to the assassin meta soon.
I hope not, dude. But like, I see exactly what you're saying because assassins kind of suck right now. Although we are seeing the Akali's being played, and I know that she's considered an assassin because she can 100 to 0 you with the E and the ulti combo. But for the average player, I don't know if assassins will quite make it back. So, and the other thing that I do want to note that I was listening, I don't remember who I was listening to. It might have been the Dive where they're talking about how assassins are piss poor in low elo hands because we just don't have the mechanics for it. So that might be like a good thing for us low elo players, you know?
Right. Well, I mean, after what we're about to talk with these changes, there are some tanks coming back, so...
Yeah, dude, there are, and I'm kind of happy about it. I mean, a lot of times right now in a lot of games that I'm in, it feels like it's over at 15 minutes, but there's been a lot of games that I've been in where if we could just not surrender, we could actually pull it back and win. Using the bounty system and using the ability to scale or to just out mind game the opponent. So I feel like there's a lot of systems for comebacks, and I think adding tanks into that will help push that a little bit forward, get people out of the routine of like forfeiting once the lane is over, because there's always that possibility of being able to pull it back. And yes, it is solo queue, yes, it is low elo, but there is a chance that you can kind of pull some of that stuff back.
But no, I agree. Kai'Sa got buffed on that patch. She got those the AP scaling increased.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't think I've seen too many, but I mean, in pro hands, anything's possible. Especially if they're, they nerf Zeri too. Again, pro play right now is a patch behind, so we're not gonna see these changes, the 12-16, because they're gonna have one more patch, and that's gonna be the World's patch. 12-17, I believe, is gonna be the World's patch. Right. So we have no idea what it's going to be. Right now, it's still dominated by Sivir and Zeri.
Are the 12-16 changes going to be in play for next week?
No. Okay. They do not. They don't change during playoffs.
Okay. So, yeah, why did they make these? That's weird.
They're just prepping for Worlds.
Yeah, I guess. They just made these pro changes, and they have nothing to base them off of. So that seems strange to me. But, hey, I'm not Riot Games, so...
And then our poll was... Do you think these nerfs are going to kill Zeri? Meaning the W nerfs. We're at a solid 50-50 on that one, so...
Yeah, I know that on the Dive, I think we mentioned this last week, that Azael was pretty confident it kills Zeri once the patch rolls out to Pro. Obviously...
I think he said it wasn't, because he was mainly talking about the Q, because the Q damage I think got buffed, but the W is what got hit hard.
They need to hit the W hard. That thing is stupid.
Get nuked. You get nuked over those walls, dude.
Dumb as shit. You get nuked for no reason. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to add on that. I think I waxed on as long as I could on that one last week, so I'm gonna save you guys.
No, yeah, and then we can quickly talk about LCS this past weekend, which may have been the most exciting pro, like a North American pro that I've watched in a very long time.
Listen,
there were 4 best of 5s, and all of them were fucking good to watch.
Right now, every series except for the EGC9 series went 5 games. So does that mean that EG's the worst team?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy,
Least
dude.
amount of playoff
Like
wins
they're
could be worst team out there. I'm not sure. Could be. I wonder if it has anything to do with just being rusty from not playing. You know what I mean? They didn't play that first week, and so sometimes when you miss a week like that, you kind of lose your groove a little bit. And like the first round bye is awesome. Don't get me wrong. There's just less chances to lose, but I wonder if there's any like they talk about this in traditional sports. They talk about the like the rust, right? Like in baseball, like, oh yeah, you finished a 5 game series with a sweep, or you finished a 7 game series and a 4 game sweep, but the other team that's playing took all 7 games, and the thought is, they may be a little bit more tired, but they also may be a little bit more in tune with their play, if that makes any sort of sense. And I wonder if that had anything to do with Evil Geniuses faltering against Cloud9. Obviously, Cloud9 had to play against CLG, and that gave them some more games to kind of have film on and have tape on, and understand where they're excelling and where they're poor at, and give them more stuff to practice. And I wonder if EG suffered a little bit from not having that, from having that first round bye.
it's a possibility. I mean, I maybe they mentioned they were hearing like rumblings behind the scene that EG was not doing that great in
For
scrims.
playoffs specifically, I think I did hear that.
Yeah.
Right, right. Um, but well, even if you look at 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid, I think 100 Thieves is just a handedly better team than Team Liquid. Excuse me. But they got crushed a couple games. Like, it wasn't close a couple games. That went 5 games, and 100 Thieves pulled out the win against TL, but it was not as easy as it looked like it would be on paper. Um, and that brings us, I mean, even look at CLG and Golden Guardians, right? CLG is a handedly better team than Golden Guardians. It's not even close. But Golden Guardians brought them to a 5 game series, and they had to sweat it out. I mean, game 5 was pretty much a roll by CLG, but
Right.
I mean, sending them to 5 games for a team that only won 4 in the entire split, that's kind of worrisome, right? And TSM and FlyQuest, another one. FlyQuest, who just demolished TSM. I think they steamrolled them both times this split, and then they lose a 5 game series to a team that they should have demolished. And I felt like Maple played exceptionally well in that series compared to all split. He's been kind of doo-doo, but that series he played really well. I don't think Solo really did much of anything other than just play weak side top, which whatever, TSM's used to that. But the Instinct won. They lost. I don't remember if TSM won game 1 or if they lost game 1. But Instinct,
Yeah.
I know Instinct came in and then they pulled him and replaced him with Tactical. And
Oh man, that was
the first game.
wild.
I think Tactical lost the first game. If he played Draven, I believe, and they lost. But then the next 2 games, Tactical looked more like the old Tactical that we're used to seeing, and FlyQuest looked a little lost. Gotta say.
Yeah, that was a. I was like, that was a head scratcher. I was like, oh, well, we haven't seen Tactical in a hot minute.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, aside from that Draven Pike game, he fucking popped
He
off.
did. And Chime had a great series too,
Mhm.
and obviously Spica. That he's definitely the heart and soul of that entire team, and I just feel bad that he's kind of stuck on a team that doesn't really know what they want to do. They haven't quite figured out their I guess their strategy for LCS. So it feels bad for a player like Spica who has so much potential. Reminds me of like a Jose Dioto too. He's got like a lot of potential, but he's kind of stuck on a team that's a little bit middling, and could be on a better team and could perform a little bit better. I almost wonder, not to say that Santorin's a problem for Team Liquid, but I almost wonder if they look to move on from Santorin if they don't make Worlds. Because I feel like the rest of the roster is pretty solid, and Santorin's usually a good facilitator, but maybe they just need a little boost in that area or something. Because I feel like that team is super stacked, you know? Like there's something there that's not working. I don't know what it is. I don't see them moving on from Bwipo. I see Bwipo staying. I see Bjergsen staying. and I see Hans staying, and Core JJ is such a NA mainstay. It's hard to replace that dude. So the weakest spot I see on that team is the jungle, and so I wonder if they boot Santorin and try to go a different route. I could see Santorin going to a middling team that needs a little push, but who knows? I don't even know if Santorin would want to do that or if he would just retire if that happened, but that's all speculation on my part.
I could see if they don't make Worlds, I could see like Liquid like
Blowing it up.
breaking up. When I mean breaking up, I mean like losing one or two people.
I could definitely see him
Like, I
losing
could
one, but I don't know.
I could totally see Hans Sama just going back to Europe, like what Perks did.
Yeah, I guess I could see Hans leaving on his own accord. I could also see Steve trying to keep him, but I think it would be a Hans own accord, and then I don't know what they would do as a replacement for ADC because
I don't know.
NA's got a really bad ADC talent pool.
I don't know about that, man. We have
You got
what was
Berserker
the,
and
like,
Hans and Danny, and FBI,
FBI,
right? But Danny, Berserker, and FBI, I think are pretty solid on their teams that they're on. I don't think they're moving. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like, what else? You would have to have someone up and coming that's really good, or you try to pull somebody else over. But
Yeah, Liquid ain't gonna pick a up and comer.
I don't think so. They spent way too much money on this roster. Oh, and the other thing I want to comment on that I was hearing all last week was Caster was talking about the Team Liquid hate. I think that started back when they started winning everything, from being the fourth place team, the fourth place mainstay, to winning all the time, back to back to back and stuff like that. I think that's really when it started. I think the casters were hyped on it because they felt like Team Liquid had done this organically. And then this year they just decided they were going to purchase all their talent. I mean, I don't think there's a single actual NA natural player on that roster.
No, I mean,
Yes, they have green
Bjergsen has
cards.
a green-
Yeah, and Bjergsen's been here for a long time. Santorin's been here for a long time. Core has a green card. But there's nobody from NA on that roster. That kind of feels bad. I mean, I like all those players individually. I just don't care for Team Liquid for my own reasons, I guess. And then, I mean, you look at Cloud9, Blabber's the only NA person there, right?
Well, do you count Fudge because
Right, and that's there's that part too, right? There's the Osh breakup where they just said, "Hey, you guys are part of NA now." And so I mean, you would include FBI in that as well. But like realistically, a North American player, the only one on that team is Blabber. And then 100 Thieves is the other team, and I don't think they have anybody. I don't think they have any actual NA talent on that team, right? Closers from Turkey, some days from. Is he Korean? Yeah, he's from KT Rolster. Yeah, they have none.
Abadaga.
In the EG is the only one that has it, and it's really only in the form of Danny, Vulcan, and JoJo. So I guess it's 3 out of 5. They got the most actual NA players.
That's pretty good.
And is Danny Canadian? No, Danny. I think Danny's American. I think the other two are Canadian. And then
Vulcan's Canadian.
And I think Impact has a green card, and Inspired's the only one that doesn't. But I don't see that team breaking up. Even if they don't make Worlds, I don't see that team breaking up. I can see them trying to pull the 100 Thieves route of like, hey, let's keep the squad together. They seem to work really well. They have some things they can improve on, but I can see that team staying together, even if they don't make Worlds, or even if they do make Worlds and perform poorly. I see them trying to keep that core together because I think that team works really, really well together. They just sometimes they get a little lost.
While we're on EG, and because obviously Saturday and Sunday were the more hype games because
Right.
they were the better teams that were playing each other. Man, Impact is. I now know why Impact wasn't voted first team All
got
Pro. Like
duped. He got duped.
he did not look
No.
good. I feel like he's stable, but I don't think he's
not the carry
like a
guy he
shining
used to be.
he's not a very good, like, me saying not a good top laner, but like, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like for standards, like it's not impressive at all.
Right. But what do
Um,
if you're EG, who do you replace him with?
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Who's who's leaving a team. Fudge is not leaving Cloud9 anytime soon. He's like the face of that team, right? Someday I don't see leaving 100 Thieves. I think he works well in that team. So who are you left with? Philip?
I mean, unless they have some players in academy that they're gonna bring up.
Maybe. I mean, EG is all into the homegrown talent thing, so that is a possibility. They might have somebody down there. I haven't paid enough attention to academy. And actually, I'm just curious. I don't know who's on that squad.
But
Yeah.
no, that man, that EG game. I mean, Cloud9 wrecked them the first 2 games, and then obviously game 3 was a little fuck up.
Yeah.
But man, this literally feels like what happened with Summit in spring, where everyone pretty much knew he was gonna get the MVP.
Yeah.
But as soon as it came to playoffs, he took a shit. Inspired probably is gonna get the MVP, but this series, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. But man, I was telling you, right?
The crab, and then
this guy,
he goofed. I think he just goofed.
Like,
I don't know. Blabber at crab,
Bro, like,
dude. Blabber crab is now gonna be inspired crab.
I don't understand. Like, C9 has 3 dragons.
Yep.
They're on Soul Point. The Infernal Dragon is there. Inspired, the Rift Scuttle, they're doing their dance. They're not. No one's committing to it yet. The fucking Rift Scuttle spawns. Inspired smites it right in front of all 5 C9 players, and they're like, "Oh, okay." And then Blabber's playing Olaf, and you just combo his E with true damage with smite, and that's like 1,300, and you just burst it, and it's free.
Yep.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
Yep. No, it's just
it was so weird.
It's just a mistake, but part of me wonders, and just because JoJo's troll like this, part of me wonders if they maybe find that it's an easier route to finals if they go through the lower bracket.
No, there's no way.
I wonder if they felt like they had a game to lose, and
I don't know, because
it's hard to say.
They all they had to do is, if they would have won that series, they would have
had 100 Steves.
auto qualified for Worlds.
Right.
So why? There's no way they would have like.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm spitballing, and I wonder if they felt like
Right.
even if we don't qualify on this series, it's not the end of the world, because you can still run through and you can still make finals.
Yeah,
It's still a possibility.
It's a whole lot harder though, man. Like,
I think so. I mean, they have TSM, in fairness. They have TSM, and although TSM looked great on Thursday, I don't see a world where they're going to look better than EG. Solo is hot garbage.
True.
Maple, I don't think is any better than JoJo.
No, JoJo's way.
I think
better.
I could see Inspired and Spica being on a similar level. They play different styles, but they're both very good. And I think that Danny and Vulcan are just a better bot lane than Chime and Tactical, or Chime and whatever TSM decides to roll out. I think it doesn't matter if it's Instinct or if it's Tactical. They play just like Danny, very passive in lane. They tend to lose lane. But Danny's a way better team fighter than Tactical or Instinct. So I think that like the edge is definitely there in the bot lane and definitely in the top lane.
What the way I'm looking at it right now is, man, it's just so tilting, because like they get knocked down to loser bracket. They have to play. I'm counting. They have to do 1, 2, 3.
They win 3 series.
They have to win
3 series.
The LCS. They have to play 4. They have to play 4.
TSM. It's the lower bracket semis.
If they make their way through the lower bracket, you're right, and then they will. Because like I'm looking at the bracket right now. So
yeah. If they beat TSM, they play who wins between Liquid and CLG. If they beat that team, they play whoever loses between 100 Steves and Cloud9, and then they have to. If they beat that team, then they go to the finals for whoever the winner was for 100 Steves and Cloud9.
Yeah, it's like,
you're right.
Just they were first place, and now they're like, they could have had I mean, again, I don't want to say it's easy because they got challenged. No one knew. Jat was the only person on the desk that predicted they would win.
And I didn't listen to JLXP where he actually explained where he got his picks from.
He called it a 3-2, not a 3-1, but still, like, everybody else had EG.
Right.
Right. It's wild, dude.
There's a
But
couple, yeah, the couple upsets this weekend were definitely wild.
they went from just having to win, and it's also like, because they get the sent now. 100 Thieves and Cloud9 already are like, okay, they're going to Worlds, cool. Obviously, they don't want to be third seed,
Right.
and have to play play-ins because that's fucking boring.
That sucks, but could, not that it's a buff, but it could help to catch the
Could
meta.
benefit.
Yeah, could be a benefit to catch the meta, but you have to get through it, which is that's the hard part. It definitely has its pros and cons, because if you can catch the meta through that, it could help you in groups. It probably won't help you in best of series, but it could help you in groups just to get through, a couple wins. But who knows? Definitely more up in the air of how I feel about them after losing to C9. However, I will say C9 looked better than they have all split.
Yeah, that was wild.
So, yeah, out of playoff buff, I don't know, but C9 hasn't looked that good all split.
Again, I don't know if it was during, I think Fudge had an interview, and he was saying they were like crushing it in scrims.
Yeah.
Like they just turn it on, dude. This also comes down to, it's so crazy that teams are just allowed. I think it was, who used the term? I think it was Jat. They used the term handshake. Like, one team gets Sivir, the other team gets Zeri.
Yep.
They just mutually agree. Like, but they gave, like, Jensen busting out the Zillion
I know, right?
with the Renata to speed up Zeri. She was skating everywhere, and you can't catch that
She's
thing,
skating,
dude.
you can't catch it, and you can't kill it.
It was wild too, dude. Like, the Renata W mixed with the Zillion ult, like, there's so much time.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I wasn't sure how that interaction worked, but the Renata W burns through, and then it goes to the
to the Zillion ulti.
the Zillion ult.
Yep.
So it's like, oops, I forgot it. Maybe I forgot to put the Zillion ult on you. Oh wait, I got a few more seconds as the Renata W ticks down, like,
Right.
as you're about to die.
And then you could
dude,
buy a GA on top of that. Like,
it's
three
insane.
lives. 3 lives. Like, that, it's just a definitely broken thing, and I could understand the Zillion pick. And I did see the stat that he's 10-2 on Zillion in his LCS career.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has a better win rate than Bjergsen, but, like, I mean,
Yeah, he has way more.
Bjergsen's way better on the
Bjerg has way
champion.
more.
I think he's lost. I think the 2 games that he lost on Zillion were actually against Bjergsen, if I remember correctly. I don't know the
Possibly.
stat. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find the stat, but I think that one time he tried to pull it out. At least one of them, he tried to pull it out to Bjergsen, and Bjergsen, nah, sorry, dude, that's my champ.
The only thing I want to touch on was just the last one on 100 Thieves
Yeah.
and Liquid. Just Closer is a fucking monster.
Crawl closer, dude.
That game 5 Lee Sin.
Oh, that
like,
kick! Oh my god,
multiple kicks. He just finds his fucking way. That guy.
he finds
oh
his
my God,
angles every time. I don't know how he
his
does it.
insects are so fucking clean. Like,
That's another team that
Fuck.
gets playoff buff too.
100.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see. I don't just, if you guys haven't watched it, go back and watch the VODs or watch the highlights. They're so fucking entertaining.
Yes.
And I mean, this week again, Thursday is Liquid 100 or Liquid CLG. Friday is EG TSM, and then Saturday is 100 Thieves and Cloud9 to see who immediately goes to the finals. And then the to be determined is what is it? It's either
Sunday's gonna be the lower bracket semis.
the winner of the Thursday Friday games, right?
Yeah, it should be. Yes.
And then that will
Who
determine
goes
the
to
third
final.
seed,
Right.
I believe, right? Yeah,
Let me go back to the.
It is.
Yeah.
it is, because it's as long as they get to the finals weekend, because they'll play
Yes.
that Saturday game. That'll be the 3 teams that are going, but we already have 2.
Yep.
So
And I think
I-
the finals weekend. I think you have to play lower bracket semis, and then the winner of that goes on the next day to play finals. I believe.
that's what I'm saying.
Like,
Like,
that's-
if
that's such
EG
a
wants to
quick
make
turnaround.
it, they have to fucking play so many best of 5s.
Right. Right.
It's brutal. But yeah, I know we don't usually talk about LCS and pros and stuff, but this was so entertaining.
No,
guys.
this weekend was so
Go-
good. We had to.
We also mentioned motherfuckers saying LCS is dying. 100 1,000+ views.
Yes,
On
I was tallying them actually a couple times over the weekend, and the only thing that sucked is like when I looked at the LEC and compared to LCS, because those are the two closest. I think LEC was still like 50,000 views at a time over LCS. And I didn't look every game and every peak, but I was just trying to look at like exciting points. Go ahead.
I would say I think it still always comes down to like I solely believe Europe a good majority, well, there's so many people in Europe watch LCS,
Right.
but like when we start at 1 p.m. I think it's 8 hours ahead,
Right,
or so.
right.
So it's 9 p.m. and they just watched all these Europe games. Like people are fucking
Burned out a
not
little
gonna
bit,
want to
yeah.
watch it.
That, you know what?
There's nothing
That's
you
a
can
good
really
point.
do.
I didn't even think about that because a lot of LCS people watch LEC, but yeah, you don't get the vice versa, and you don't have the Asian leagues, the Eastern leagues. I don't know
Right.
whatever they call. I don't want to call one particular region, but all those regions, LPL, LCK,
The Eastern teams.
they
or
don't
regions.
they don't watch LCS either because
Oh, they don't give a shit.
They don't fucking care. They're way better than us and Europe.
so.
But yeah,
Anyways, we
y'all
waxed
got
on.
homework.
Yeah,
Go watch some pro play. Okay.
we waxed on. And actually, that is my poll question: is what was your favorite series of this weekend? I know we don't really talk about it, but like these series
Yeah, if
were
you
all
watched
so
it,
good. There was not a single series that was a snoozer. If you watched it, what was your favorite series this weekend?
Good. Yep. All right, let's move into the main topic
Yeah.
here, which was there are some pretty good changes coming, and I know we usually don't.
Do pre
Usually, PBE, yeah, we don't do previews because like they're very minimal changes, but we got 3 champions coming up with some pretty sizable changes. Being Maokai, Misfortune, and Hecarim.
Yes, these are very interesting. I didn't read up on Misfortune or Hecarim. I think the Hecarim one just got released on Monday.
Today, yep.
So I haven't read up what their goals are, and I didn't read up what the goals were on Misfortune. But I know the goals on Maokai were to try to get him back in top lane and back in jungle.
Make him relevant.
Right. Make him relevant first, but to try to get him back in top lane and in the jungle where he used to thrive, but also not take away his support playstyle. So we're gonna see a lot of things coming here, and I guess we'll start off with the passive. They are making a little bit change on the sat magic, so they're adding getting hit by large jungle monsters reduces the cooldown of 1 second per auto on the sat magic. So
That's incredible.
that's blue buff,
It's like
red buff, dragon, herald, and
no, it's. I mean,
oh wait,
it's-
that counts
yeah,
the
yeah.
big wolf too, huh?
Yeah, it's the main jungle. Not like you can't just sit in raptors and like get hit by a bomb.
Right.
Not like how a Mumu's
Right.
E works or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, I mean it's another second, so that like
Per auto.
obviously you have cooldowns.
Right.
So like not spamming. I mean, you get 4 seconds off abilities that are used. I think.
I believe it's
Or on the
4
cooldown?
seconds off whether you use an ability or have an ability
Or-
used on him.
Listen, so you meaning if you're taking your raptor camp and your mid laner is under turret using abilities to farm.
I don't think it's in. I think they have to be used on him.
I think I'm pretty sure it's just.
Let me look
let's
it
see.
up. Let me look it up.
Yeah, look it up. But I just that instantly is like a huge jungle buff. I mean, it's gonna up his sustain. I was trying to see if there was. I don't think that we have too many numbers. Not on that. I don't. They might be. You know what? These changes were put out like last week.
Right.
I
The
think
numbers may
so.
have
There
changed a
have
little
been
bit.
some number changes. Yeah, right. So we're not. I believe they are changing the healing on it too, but I don't want to like have to dig through 4 million
Right.
fucking things to find it because they can change in a heartbeat.
Okay, here is each time Maokai casts an ability or is struck by an enemy's ability, Sat Magic's cooldown
it.
is reduced by 4 seconds.
For some reason, I thought it was just in.
I
the
think
vicinity,
it
but
it
okay.
used to be in the vicinity if they're using spells around you. Kind of like
I am maybe
someone else
what,
does.
Kassadin.
Yeah, you know, well,
Kassadin
Kassadin
Z?
has that, but I think someone else has a similar passive or something like that. Beyond Kassadin, but it may have been that way at one point and been changed. I don't remember. They don't when they have past versions of there's minimal changes like that, they don't tend to log them. You have to look through the patch notes. It's not like it's easy on the wiki page where you can go back and be like, oh, previous versions, they don't log all that. So it may have been that way a while ago or at some point,
yeah.
and we just get it confused because it was a minimal change. But either way, getting an extra 1 second cooldown, I think, is pretty good. It should definitely help him in the jungle with sustain.
Moving on to his Q. Again, I don't think we really need to go over damage, like base stats, but I mean, damage is going up
On the base, right?
late.
Right.
Yeah, late, but weaker early. I mean, again, this is subjective. These changes could possibly not even come through on patch, so
Right.
just take that in mind. But the interesting part is they're adding max health damage to his Q.
Yep, percent max health, I like it.
Yeah, 2 to 3%. Already like incredible.
Right.
Fucking little extra. And then it's gonna deal bonus damage to monsters.
Yep.
I don't see a cap at bonus damage, or if that's gonna be on the percentage. Because I know some champions have like a cap
Right.
against monsters.
That may become more relevant too when they release the full notes.
I mean, just think of like
But
how much health do dragons have, and like if he's just
A
doing
shit ton.
3%, like that's pretty big.
no,
but-
for sure. Dragons, Barons, Geralds.
And I like this because it's not just we're not just upping his AP ratios. Like we're giving him a little bit. It's just like a tank buff. So
Right.
boom, tank.
Right. No, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, looks like his W they're not changing because that skill is OP. But the sapling toss, the E, they're doing a couple things here. So they're removing the percent max health damage. So that's big because I think that even scaled off of Maokai's health as well. They're gonna adjust the base damage to be higher, and I don't know if that AP ratio and that total health.
Scaling.
Oh, you know what? No, that's where Maokai's health scaling was. Okay.
It's on his E.
Total hit points on the E. So I don't know what the ratios were before. Actually, I can look. I have it up. Looks like. Oh no, that was target's max health. Okay. So
it's changing.
Yeah. We'll have to see
So-
when they actually push it out what that looks like. But it looks like the base damages are going to go up, that for sure. And I think that the AP ratios look like they're changing totally. So the other AP ratios were per 100 AP. It looks like they're changing to more of a flat total AP on Maokai.
So did it like live right now? Does it scale with his total health?
Right now it says magic damage is 20 to 120 plus 7 to 8% plus 0.7% per 100 AP of the target's maximum health. And then obviously the total increased damage is double that. You know, if you get the big one.
So they're adding scaling based on how much HP he has now.
I think. I don't know if that little T might mean target's HP. So that they may be keeping that. It does say it looks like it's a more round number, so it looks like 3% target's HP and 6% target's HP. But that AP ratio I think is what they're really changing. So instead of it doing a percentage of their HP plus a weird percentage per 100 AP, looks like they're just rounding that, making it easier. 40% of Maokai's AP plus 3% of the target's HP is how I'm reading that, I think. It's an adjustment, so it's meant to change a little bit. And obviously the base damages are definitely going up on both of those. So
Yeah.
I mean, those things are really good for him clearing, even if it's just helping with like the raptors or whatever. You know, you throw it in the bush there, and then you drag the raptors over there, and you get it to pop and hit all the raptors at once. I think it's actually pretty good. The other thing they're adding is the empowered damage does not affect minions, so he cannot
That's good.
clear the wave with the sapling toss. So that is going to make a solo lane Maokai less apt to use that ability, and it's going to make a support Maokai less scared about taking farm on accident by doing too much damage to the minions. So that is something that I think is good for what they're trying to do with him. I totally agree with those changes. They're also giving him a buff in the mana cost department. They're going to drop the mana cost. The total amount, we're not sure. This says it was 60 to 100 to go to 45 to 85. that may change. And they're going to buff the slow amount. I'm pretty confident that this stays as a 10% increase buff from 35 to 45%. Generally, these things don't change a whole lot. And then they're going to give you an empowered brush slow amount to 55%. So if you get it out of the bush, and I think this is what's helping the support Maokai here. If it lands on him out of the bush, you're slowing them by 55% instead of the 35 that he had before. So that's pretty big. That's pretty big. It keeps that sapling playstyle you expect from support Maokai.
One thing I wanted to add on to the E, and it's not listed here, and I went to the writer's Twitter, and it's not listed there, but on the original Reddit thread where these changes were first posted, someone had a screenshot of the ability in game on PvE, and it stated if sapling hits an enemy champion or epic monster, this reduces Sap's magic, his passive cooldown, an additional 4 seconds.
Oh wow!
So that's not listed in these changes, so I'm not sure
if that was added later.
I mean, this was, I don't know. It's very confusing because it was the link to the tweet with the changes we're looking at. We're on the same post as this.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they're gonna remove that or whatever. But that's great in lane if you're fucking trading with enemies, and then if you're jungling, and you're fighting around Dragon Pit.
Right.
It's just, I don't know.
I'm gonna see if I can't find anything on PvE while you go through the R. I'm gonna check on Surrender at 20. So
that's what I was looking at, and I couldn't find anything there.
Okay.
Again, I found the Reddit thread
right.
that was posted a few days ago.
Right. Okay.
And someone had screenshots, but overall, I like it. They're giving him diversity, like. They're allowing him to go in the jungle, and they're allowing him to go top lane and support. Like that's good.
Yeah,
I think that's healthy, and they're not overloading his damage. They're giving him more utility. Like
right, which I think is something he is kind of known for, anyways. If that makes sense,
bro. Just imagine taking Glacial on this dude and like getting your W, Glacial Field with the empowered brush. Like those people aren't fucking moving, dude.
Right. This is true.
OP. All right, moving on to his R, mainly all buffs, and what they're changing is really good because it's basically okay. So they're increasing the speed at which the roots travel, which 100% was an issue because that thing moves so fucking slow,
dude. It fucking sucks.
So, missile initial speed is 50 to 100, which I'm assuming is units.
Right.
And then missile maximum speed as it revs up, I'm not sure how many seconds it is, like 2 seconds, whatever, is going up another 100, so 650 to 750. And the acceleration is going up, so it's going to get to that maximum speed a lot quicker. Or maybe not a lot quicker, it's only going up by 50.
Right.
And then the interesting part is adding movement speed on champion hit. So if you hit an enemy, you are getting a 40 to 60% decaying movement speed over 2 seconds.
Oh,
big.
Okay. See, I didn't read it that way. I read it as like if it goes through, kind of like Nami, if it goes through a friendly champion. But the way you read it makes more sense.
Like if you hit an enemy.
But I was reading it as like if it just goes through like your
like
teammates.
If you're behind your teammates,
yeah,
okay, and you use it.
Right. I mean, I don't know how to read that, so
I guess it could be either.
Right. I mean, either way, I think it provides a lot of utility for Maokai, so that's very interesting.
Yeah, because you sure, it starts off slow. I mean, obviously it revs up. You're just
it's still slow as fuck.
So far behind your own ult, like that. Usually, you probably have to flash W to get it, but like, I think most of the time I would just use it either to zone, like I know I'm not going to hit somebody,
right.
or if I'm doing it point blank.
Right. I mean, that's really the best way to do it. Although I know the longer it goes, the longer the route is. I know that.
Right.
I think it's from it's 0.8 seconds to 2.6 seconds, depending on how far it's going.
Okay.
It's an okay ability. I mean, it's really only good if you catch them in a choke point where they can't really get away from it, and because you're right, it causes a zone. They have to leave or deal with the consequences. So
Overall, I'm pretty happy with this, man.
I like
give
it.
Me, give me more tank, man.
give
Tank
me
Maokai.
more. More Maokai. Steven's going to be happy as a clam.
All right, so let's move on next. We have Miss Fortune.
Miss Fortuna. This is I haven't looked at any of these, so I have no idea where we're at.
So she was kind of suffering from just lethality build
Yeah,
and poke
yeah.
being much better
Right.
than
And crit.
kind of like Sivir.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like, except Miss Fortune had a little bit more utility just because her E is so
Right, and I think Sivir,
Gross.
or Sivir, I think Miss Fortune has a more cohesive kit than Sivir does too. Or Sivir did, I should say. I think now,
Right, so I
now
know-
Sivir's kit's more cohesive, but yeah.
so they are changing around because a lot of people, especially in pros, are maxing E,
Yep.
and you go Comet
That's slow
just
as
for
fucking stupid.
the lane harassment is really gross too.
Right.
Like it's you guarantee a Comet hit, but people have been maxing that. So they're changing it to make it more
Crit base, right?
yeah, more. I don't think. Well, we'll get to it. I think there's. Yeah, they want to make it so that lethality is going bye-bye, and it's better to max your Q, which I feel like you should be doing because
I
whatever.
really enjoy the fact that they're trying to put ADCs back on the crit builds.
I like that too. I like all the scaling changes that they've been changing.
I think that's what makes ADC feel less bad. I mean, in seasons past, right? Like last year was like really a big lethality based ADC thing, and this year the beginning of the season's been the same, right? I mean, pretty much all season's been the same. It's like if you can pick an ADC that can build Eclipse, you're probably doing fine. If you're picking an ADC that builds crit, it's a little bit more of a challenge, which it
they
should
just
be.
need to bring back old Infinity Edge, dude.
Seriously, I mean that item's hot garbage. I hardly build it on any champion unless I'm playing like Yasuo Yoni or something like that, or I mean obviously now the champions are starting to scale off of it more. It's more likable to build, right? But let's see. So the little blurb they left said making Q max and crit a bit less unfortunate. So let's see, the double up the Q. Physical damage is gonna get a base damage buff. It's gonna keep the 100% AD and 35% AP ratios, but it looks like it's going up late at the max rank. And the cast time was a quarter second, but now it's gonna match the basic attack time, which I think is
Love it.
super crazy good. Because that gives you instant synergy with your W, and instant synergy with attack speed builds that you're not getting out of lethality builds.
Yeah, because like a lot of the time, I feel like because obviously when you use your Q, you see the like
The charge up.
I don't think it's a cast time or whatever the fuck, the little bar that comes out. You just stop moving.
Yep.
And you have to, yeah. But this is like you can just Q, boom.
Auto attack
Little
Q,
bra-
auto attack. You can just get back to attacking faster too.
Strut. Mana cost is getting again numbers really don't mean anything here, but mana cost is going down.
This probably won't change that
And-
much of mana cost.
Yeah. Attack speed is going up
That probably won't
by
change much
10%. Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, just giving. I mean, considering they just was on the patch they gave Tristana her Q attack speed steroid. They buff that.
Right.
And I like that. I mean, obviously, if you're going to build more attack speed, this is going to become even better
Right.
as you fucking rank it up.
Absolutely.
What is her movement speed? I think it used to match the attack speed, but I think it maxes out at 90 movement speed now.
Let me see.
I believe it is. It's like 40 to 90.
It is increased movement speed. Increased bonus movement speed is 55 to 95.
There you go. Okay, because it used to be a 1-to-1 with the attack speed.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, I like it. Again, we're just give me more crit marksman.
Yes.
And make it more useful.
Bringing this back,
you know?
it has for higher highs and lower lows. I think is the best way to put it. And obviously, your Ezreals are always going to be your outlier, right? Okay, and on to her E, the Make It Rain. They're definitely nerfing this thing, so it's gonna get a cooldown nerf. I don't know if these numbers are gonna stick. I feel like they should. At least the cooldown nerf should. Currently, it's 18 to 10. Looks like it's gonna go 18 to 14, which I think is good because that stupid Emax, dude. Like when it's at
Yeah,
max,
exactly.
that 60% slow is fucking horrid to deal with. as a player. You don't move anywhere, you know? That's like getting hit by Thresh box. Like he ain't going nowhere for a quick second, you know? So that shit sucks. It's really good for like an all-in team, but I hate that shit. The full damage, which is 8 ticks, currently is 80 to 220 base with an 80% AP ratio. It looks like they're looking to nerf the base damage, but buff the ratio damage. So I'm not sure if these numbers are exactly going to stick, but it looks like it's 70 to 190 with a 100% AP ratio, which I think I'd be okay with because it kind of tells you, like, you're either building this or you're not building AP, you know, like you're not getting any AP boost on your double up. So you're kind of sacrificing that skill there, even though you are going to get your base damage increase. The scaling's doo-doo, right? At 35%. So
And plus, you're gonna look at the next line, how the slow is.
that's
now.
exactly where I was headed. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, either you're gonna go with AP Misfortune, go Mage Fortune, and probably build like a Leandry style and just fully commit to the AP, or you're gonna go AD. The other reason, like Dean said, the slow was scaling at 40 to 60%. Looks like they're trying to make it flat at 50. I feel like that part's gonna stay. This next part might change. So they're saying plus 4% per 100 AP. That may change. That might not change. I mean, you have to build a fuck ton of AP to really get that thing ramped up. So that might not change. That might be, look, you really want to slow people and play that game, then your playstyle is to build Rabadons and Leandries and probably even Rylai's, right? Like, you're going to double down on that slow. That's the whole point of that idea. So
I wonder if this makes Mage Fortune support return and
Right.
build
that's what I'm thinking.
what's it, Imperial Mandate.
You could do that too. So I was thinking, yeah, you could Imperial Mandate, but then I feel like
feels
that
like
forces you
Ash.
into Demonic Embrace, right?
Yeah, I just feel like this is kind of like Ash.
Which is okay. I'm okay with that. I think these champions can do well with that. I know her ulti does scale with AP to an extent. It's not a great scale, but it does scale with AP. You get 20% AP with each wave. But it does convert to physical damage at the end of the day is what you're dealing. So that does kind of make you a bit of a monster to try to itemize against. Even with the Q, I mean, the Q has duty AP scaling, but it deals physical damage, so it makes it tougher to itemize, right? You have to be able, like, yes, she's building AP, but she's doing physical damage aside from her E.
And finally, her ult, bonus critical chance damage. It's going from 20% of each wave's damage to 30%. So again, incentivizing crit builds.
Right.
If anybody's ever been hit with a full Misfortune ult, that shit
It
does
hurts.
like 4,000-5,000 damage. Like,
Does it say on here the total?
it's a metric fuck ton. I mean, when
Yes,
you
it does.
in-game- what is it? Yeah, if you've never read it,
At max rank, it does 1,350% AD plus 360% AP. That's getting hit with all of them.
but no, yeah, like
You have to do
you're-
the math on obviously how much damage or how much of each you have built, but like that's a fuck ton of damage.
if you're a player, like in game, if you mouse over your ult, it'll tell you the exact
will.
amount of damage it does. It'll be like, oh, 3,500 damage for full.
Yep.
If someone takes it fully, like, holy shit.
Yep. And the only people that can really afford to take it fully are tanks. And even then,
But that is,
can they really
yeah.
afford to take it?
I mean, if you're sitting in a full Misfortune ult, I don't know what you're doing.
Feels bad, man. It's sometimes it's
yeah.
hard to get out of though because someone's proccing a slow or she's proccing a slow with her E and she's just like that's her whole fucking playstyle, right? Hit the E slow, hit the ulti, and hopefully your support's keeping them in there or somebody on your team's keeping them in there so they just take all the damage.
So that is it for Misfortune.
Yes.
And then finally, we have Hecarim.
Yes.
And hang in there, guys. This is a long episode, but I appreciate it.
Hector, I haven't looked at these. He just came out Monday. Interesting stuff here. Let's take a look. It says insert horse pun here. Ha 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 ha. I just peed in my basement. I'm just kidding. The Q is got a lot of changes actually coming. So it looks like the base damage is gonna go down late a little bit, but he's gonna get an extra percentage of bonus AD and scaling. So is going to get, looks like currently they have it dropping off by 20 at later ranks, and getting a 5% bonus AD ratio added to that. So it should kind of even out. It's basically, when I see stuff like that, that's telling me, no, you have to build the item. You can't just build tank and deal massive damage. That's how I read it when they do stuff like that. They drop your base, but increase your scaling. That's how that works. Your damage per stack on it is going to go up. So it looks like they're increasing. Looks like they're doubling it. So it was 2% plus 3% per 100 bonus AD, which is a lot. If you're building tank, you're not getting a whole lot out of that bonus AD ratio scaling. Now it's going to be 4% plus 6% per bonus 100 AD. That's probably not really going to change. If anything changes, it's going to be the initial, so it might drop down to 3% plus 6%. The cooldown per stack is also going to drop a quarter second. So it was 1 second to 0.75. I think that probably stays too. And you'll be able to have more stacks. So that probably stays as well. Looks like from 2 stacks to 3 stacks. The stack fall off was all at duration end. It's now going to be 1 stack per second at duration end. So that's a nice little buff there as well. And the mana cost is going to be a flat mana cost. It was 28 to 40. It looks like they're going to move it to 30. That may change a little bit here or there, but if anything, I'd probably see it going to 35 to kind of round out because of all the stacking. So yeah, they're telling you, hey, you could play tank or you could play damage. That's how I'm reading just that ability.
I mean, Sunder is always already really good on him.
Right. I think that stays relevant with him.
His clear is pretty good as it is. It's just like, I think this is pretty sizable. Like,
right.
Especially the stack fall off, because I can't tell you how many times, because I'll do like blue buff to Gromp, and then I got to run to Wolves, and like my stacks will fall off. So now I have
no damage.
3. I get to wait 0.75 second, or it's 1 second per stack at the end of duration. So it's like, sure, maybe I'll make it there, but I'll still have 1 stack going.
Something better clear speed, right?
It's pretty fat. His W is going to get a new effect, a new passive. Hecarim gains armor and magic resist while his W is active. Can you look up how long his W?
Yep,
a couple seconds.
His W is active for 4 seconds.
So you're going to get, again, changing it right now, it's listed as 15 to 35 flat armor and magic resist, which is like, all right, cool. So they're promoting you to build AD. Now we're giving you
some tank stats.
Free resistances.
Yeah. Interesting.
So you're going to be tankier, which is great.
Right.
Fucking great.
Right. Tell me about the devastating charge too.
So I think one of the things why they were, I'll call it buffing his Q, is people, I feel like his E would just like, E was the big thing in fights where you just can tackle someone.
Yep.
And it did damage, right? Like, and whatever. Also, if people didn't know, it's technically like coded as a ranged auto attack.
Yeah.
So if you built rapid fire on him, that jump is pretty far.
It's disgusting. It's actually kind of silly how that works, right?
It's very weird.
And just as a quick note too, I know you talked about Sunder. I could see a world where Triforce works really well as well. Keeping the stacks up and dealing the extra damage and stuff like that. I could see that working.
My only argument is Triforce just sucks, dude.
Sure. And we don't know if that item's getting any changes either.
Plus, Sunder is better on melees, which Hecarim is.
Right.
And then it gets the magic armor and magic pen, which Hecarim does mixed damage. So it's a little bit better.
True.
You could go Triforce.
I'd be curious to see how they shape out.
I think Triforce just in general needs a buff.
Right.
Not a very good item.
I think for sure with these changes, you're not going to see Chem Tank.
Maybe in Pro.
You might see Predator over Chem Tank. I feel like the itemization to go damage right now is just better. Looking at what they're doing. Obviously, you haven't played it, right?
I mean, you could go like Chem Tank, Death's Dance, and if you took Conqueror, you're going to be stacking more AD with that.
Sure.
You could Black Cleaver is very popular now
Yep.
just because of the armor shred and the cooldown reduction.
Mhm.
You could. I still think like Sunderer, Death Dance, and then Tank is probably the best thing to do for this dude.
Okay. So, anyways, we were talking about the E, and
Yeah. So the minimum damage is getting dropped just by a small percentage of the bonus AD. Everything else staying the same. The max damage. So when you're at I think it goes to 100 stacks because it's
Right.
100 movement speed.
right.
Same thing. It is getting cut in half. The percentage it's dropping by 10. So it's 110% bonus AD to now it's just 100% bonus AD.
Right.
The minimum knockback is dropping 250 to 150, maximum 450 to 350, and then the cooldown is getting stabilized at 17 in all ranks instead of scaling down.
So that part's a buff.
So- True.
You lose out on the late part, right, by 1 second. But that part's a buff. Everything else on the skill's a nerf. So it feels like this is a bit of an adjustment style.
They're putting more power into his Q.
Right.
To take away, like, that's what he should be doing. He should be like running around skirmishing,
Right.
flying his Q. Because it's like I felt like you would just fly him with your E, and if you don't get the right target,
You're fucked.
you would ER, right? And then
Yeah. You were like, oh, Ian, and fuck, get me out. And speaking of the R, small change here is they're going to reduce the duration of the fear. It looks like it's 0.75 to 2 seconds. Currently, they're looking at 0.75 to 1.5 based on distance traveled. So that may change here, there, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if that drops down to 1.25 second. Just if they're giving him this much damage, a half second on the fear, I don't think makes enough of a difference.
no.
I think he becomes. I think immediately becomes a world's relevant champion if this gets released on the world's patch.
I mean, I'm excited. I like playing Hecarim jungle.
It's cool.
I'm also gonna be playing Maokai. Like that sounds fucking fun.
The tree guy, dude. I'm playing tree guy support for sure.
I'll just have to play his uncle in the jungle. Then.
But yeah,
That
I
is-
mean
That's it.
that's it, guys. Obviously I gave you the poll already. But how do you guys feel about these champion changes? I mean, I think Misfortune is probably the big one here. Maokai being big, make it more relevant in the jungle, but Misfortune being a relevant champion right now, I think that's probably the biggest change in my opinion. But I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, let us know for sure. Yeah, that's gonna do it, guys. And I mean, also just let us know how you feel about like every other week.
Yeah.
Episodes coming out on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then patch weeks on a Wednesday.
Right.
We're trying to make it easier for us to get this content out.
Right,
And,
and I know Wednesday's a big podcast release day for a lot of podcasts, and so sometimes I feel like maybe we get drowned out a little bit on Wednesdays. So, trying to give you guys a different day where you don't have so much stuff backed up to listen to also probably helps.
As always, follow us, rate us, guys. Let us know how we're doing. Follow us on Twitter. Join our Discord, Instagram.
Yep.
Sub to us on YouTube. I'm still looking to I want to get a day where all of us, or maybe if next time we stream or something, I want to get some content.
Yeah.
And start editing it and put it up. Because I
Absolutely.
feel like that would. Some people would like to watch that and enjoy that. But
For sure.
yeah, guys, we will be back on Friday. I promise you, unless something fucking crazy happens, we'll be doing the champion review on Friday.
Fair enough.
Enjoy your week, guys.
Bye, guys.